Hello, my name is Trydar. Welcome back to Ancient Rome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build the Roman monument behind me here. Let's get started. So the first thing I will do is give you a good look at the monument we're going to be building here. As you can see, it's got a fairly regular square base to it, and it's got about 3 layers to it. And they are different and more complicated as we ascend up in height here. But if you take it slow and steady, I think that you will be able to reproduce it in your own worlds. So before we get to the building, first we need to take a look at the bill of materials for this that you're going to need to collect before we begin. What you will need are 62 cobblestone walls, 7,476 blocks of diorite, mostly for the columns and the entablature, 22,348 blocks of cobble, mostly for the interior fills of the walls, 2,840 cobblestone stairs, 16 cobblestone slabs, 12,548 stone bricks, 3,476 stone brick stairs, as well as 332 stone brick slabs, 672 chiseled stone bricks, 5,340 blocks of bedrock. Now, I know the bedrock is going to be a little hard to come by in survival, so just use basalt instead. 272 blocks of nether bricks, or the new blackstone, as well as 136 slabs, 908 blocks of red nether brick, 884 blocks of gold, 60 blocks of gold ore, 308 blocks of quartz, and 53 blocks of glowstone. So now that you've spent your whole life gathering all those materials, we are now ready to begin construction. So we will start all the way down here at the bottom, and you want to make a large square of 43 by 43 blocks square. And in the middle here, you want to put in some cobblestone stairs and edge it with either basalt or whatever dark block you want to use down here. Now, bear in mind, the entire structure is going to be, when finished, 146 blocks tall, which means that you need to go ahead and measure this and make sure you're not building it too high up on the ground, otherwise you might hit the build limit depending on where you're putting it in your world. Now, from this point on, the tutorial is laid out in slices of 2-block increments, meaning that each additional phase I show you along here goes up 2 additional blocks. So just bear that in mind as we go along here. And I will measure out the initial corners for you from here to down here, so you can position the stairs correctly. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 15 blocks. So make sure you measure that twice, and measure your entire base twice, so you can get everything correct. Otherwise, your entire building will be off axis, and we cannot have that. Now, I also want to remark that this building has 4-way symmetry. And what that means is that if you draw a center line through your building and use the other side of the stairs and draw another center line, you will find that they cross in the middle, meaning that if you place a block around on this section, you should mirror the block over here and over here and over there in exactly the same way, meaning that all of these blocks over here are going to be the same in these other 3 quadrants. And to illustrate that to you, I have sliced out a quarter of the monument here to show it to you in profile. So this is what it's going to look like here. However, for the purposes of the entire tutorial, I'm going to be showing it to you as a complete building instead of a quarter. And it should make more sense doing it that way, but bear in mind that you essentially need to build this quadrant here of the structure 4 times. So with all that out of the way, we can now go around and start extending upwards. We're now going up 3 blocks here in 2-block slices. We want to set our stairs back 2 blocks here and go up 2 flights. We want to extend up our bedrock around here as well as our cobblestone. Now for the base, I expect if you're doing this in survival, you can leave these internal parts here hollow to save materials. And we'll move on along over here, and we have our next slice. We set our stairs back another 2 blocks, and of course we're going up another 2 blocks. And we want to edge around the entire thing with stone bricks. And on top of that, put cobblestone stairs and edge that all the way around. And you want to build it according to the pattern that I am showing you here. Remember, if I'm going too fast, just pause the video and look at the screen and replicate the pattern. All right, with that completed, we can now move on to the next section, which is to get the base of the monument itself. Now that we've got the platform, we want to have the base that the columns are going to sit on. And I've used bedrock here, but remember again, you can use basalt or whatever block you choose to use for this. And you want to make the base according to this pattern here. And if you've built the base correctly, you can start using it as a guide to set back everything from the corners, like you see done here. And remember, once you've done that, you want to go over here and mirror it over here. And then mirror both of those over here. Take extra time to get this correct here, because it is the foundation for the entire monument. So we want to make sure that it is correct. Because when building things, it is always a shame if you're off by 1 block on a very large building. So for the next section, it is rather easy. You're just going along, and on top of what you've done, just lay down cobblestone. And then on top of that, start laying down stone bricks as well as some stone brick stairs to get the details done like you see done here. All right, we will go up 2 more blocks. We're getting the base of the columns in now. The interior is rather simple. Just cobblestone and stairs and some more stone bricks. And you will find that as we go up the structure, every time I put 2 stone bricks, I'm usually layering it with a single layer of cobblestone before we add another layer of 2 more stone bricks. This is a technique I use to texture things that you may want to apply in your own worlds, independent of this particular build. Going up again, we now see the reason for collecting all the diorite, because, as you can see, these form the drums of the columns. So we will go along here and add those in, and I believe the rest of it is just stone bricks. And of course, at this section, you can start leaving these spaces back here hollow if you want to save materials. Of course, when I build things, I spare no expense, so they are completely filled and solid. But if overall you want to collect less stone bricks and cobblestone than I have laid out in the materials list over there, you can leave construction voids back in these areas, like so. Which should help you do this, especially if you're going to be doing this in survival. So let's move up another 2 blocks. We're extending our column drums up again with the diorite. And you can see now the banding of the stone bricks and the cobblestone that I have laid out here. We're doing a band of cobblestone and then a band of stone bricks. Pretty much directly on top of what you've been building. We're going straight up with this. and we will be doing so for the next couple of phases. Over here, going up 2 more blocks, we have a detail of upside down stone brick stairs that adds a sort of a little ledge along here, is what that is. And you want to do it on both sides, according to how it appears on the screen. And fill the interior up as you see done here. So once you've done that all 4 times, you want to move on to the next slice, which is going to be over here. We're adding in a little bit of diorite in the middle here because they're going to form these really small semicircular arches. We're doing those on both sides. And here in the middle, everything is continuing to go vertically straight up. The early phases are rather simple at this point. Moving up to the next phase here, we have our little diorite arch here, capped off. This is about as small as you can make an arch in Minecraft. And we're doing 2 of those. And here's the top here in profile. And the interior is still the same. So we can move quickly on over here to this section. It gets a little bit more complicated. We're now adding another stone brick stairs ledge like we did down here, except it's a little bit more expansive than the next one. We're adding in a sort of an edging along the entire structure except where the columns are. And some cobble on top of that. So once you have those done, we will move on over here, where we start to add in a little bit of ornamental detail over here. It's sort of a round thing. You want to have some stairs facing each other like this, and some other stairs facing each other like that, but just leave gaps done there. And you want to do that on both sides here. And you want to have some diorite behind those. And continue to extend your columns up here. And over here in the middle, we are now getting to the point where we're starting in this little section over here to add the base of the arch, the central arch. And it's going to be 2 blocks wide. And just build it like you see. All right, with that done, we will now move on over here. We're getting to the point where we're starting to build the capitals on top of our columns. You want to build them with upside down stairs like this. And you want to mirror what you've done for the round thing, like so. And the same on the side over here. And we want to begin curving in our arch a little. And adding this part for filler in between it. Okay, and once you have that ready, we can move on to the next step over here. We're adding more height to our Corinthian capitals up here. And it's mostly right side upstairs and then a different material of upside down stairs. And over here, we're adding a little ledge of stone brick stairs, as well as just a band of stone bricks on top of the round thing. Do that on both sides. And around here, we're curving in our arch a little. You can start seeing it curve in, where we're going to meet at the top here fairly shortly. You want to fill it in between the blocks here, like that. And build in the capitals for the columns on the inside here. And technically, because they are attached to a wall, they're technically pilasters instead of pillars. A little technical detail for you. Over here, we start adding in some of our chiseled stone bricks in a band, and the tops of our Corinthian capitals here, which are done out of stone bricks, and they're extended out like you see done here. And it's the same on both sides. And we now connect our arches here in the middle. You want to do that like is shown here. Remember, if you decided to draw a center line, like I talked about previously, your center line will be passing directly under this arch here and the middle of this arch over here. So you can use that as a guide to help make sure you have constructed everything correctly up until this point. All right, with that done, we are coming to the point where we now want to add our entablature. And that is what this next section is called here. The section with the white band on it is called an entablature. Whenever you're building something Roman in Minecraft, after you build your columns, do not put the roof on the structure. I repeat, do not put the roof on the structure until you have built the entablature. This is something that most people, when they're building Roman things in Minecraft, always forget, and it's sort of a pet peeve of mine, so make sure that you do not make that mistake. And to get this, all we do is we come along here and we extend out a ledge of stone bricks and face it with some upside down cobblestone stairs in a square, and some stone brick stairs in a square on top of that all the way around here. And ignore this in the middle here. That's just a construction gap. But you want to have a square in the middle here also that mirrors what we did on the outside, except you want to do this on the inside. And build it in the exact same way. And you should end up with a square on the inside and the outside that looks like this. Okay, and with that done, the next phase is probably the simplest phase you will do in the entire structure, which is to come along on top of this and put a band 2 blocks tall of diorite. And just make it a square. Follow the pattern that you previously did. And once you've added that in, we can now finish the entablature, which is to get a little ornamental and add in some chiseled stone bricks. And in between those, you want to put some upside down cobblestone stairs. And these details here are called dentils because they're supposed to represent teeth, actually. It's a little weird. But on top of that, you just want to put another ledge of stone brick stairs like this and do it all the way around the structure. And the same on the interior here till you get a square area done like so. All right. Once you've done with that, you have now finished, I think, just about finished the first phase of the monument. And I think the next phase, we start building the floor of the next section, which is going to be the triangular sections over here with the columns. And this gets a little bit more complicated because now we have to place bases for columns again. So let's start on the outside here and take a look at the corners. You've got these little details that we're going to have here, cobblestone stairs. Or actually, I think the first thing you need to do is place just a layer of bedrock on top of this, or basalt. And then on top of that, we want to start placing down these cobblestone stairs, alternating with each other, according to the pattern shown here. And once you've done that, you can use these as a measuring guide to help you place the bases for the columns here. as well as the columns on the inside here. And the interior, where we're going to start curving things in a little around here. So you want to build this like you see. And once that is done, we move on over here. Going up 2 more blocks, we're adding in some more cobblestone stairs. And these little ornamental side details here, which is the reason you collected the gold ore. That's where these go. And we want to have these little finials here that sort of are like railing. Little decorative element I use to stack stone stairs in this sort of a clover shape or something resembling that. But I found them to be good, useful ornamental tools over the years. And you want to extend up your column bases on top of the previous ones you built with the cobblestones and the stone stairs. Do that all the way around, as well as the base of the interior along here. And then you want to extend up the interior as shown along here. And with that done, we will now go up 2 more blocks. You want to place another block of gold ore on top of the decorative finials here on the sides, and that will finish those. You want to build up your column bases even more along here, along the inside and the outside, as shown by the pattern here. Once you build one of these columns, you will see how to build all of them. They're all the exact same design, pretty much. And on the inside here, we want to start curving things in just a little bit, because these sections here are going to end up being what are called pendentives, because we are going to be making some arches along the sides in the middle here. And that will leave us with some curvy triangular sections that are, architecturally speaking, called pendentives. Now, moving along, we should have the bases of our columns done. So the next 2 blocks, you can start adding the diorite column drums here, all along the sides of the building. It'll be pretty obvious where to place those. And on the detail here, we start curving in our pendentives a little bit more. You can see that they're getting more curvy, and they're clearly going to meet in arches. So let's take a look at that over here again. This is going up 2 more blocks. We now have our arches meeting up here. And then we have these little glowstone elements here to provide lighting, but also ornamental detail to the structure. And you want to build it according to this pattern here. And for the rest of the exterior, just continue extending up the interior walls and the column drums. You're going to be doing that for several more phases, so I'm not going to directly remark on those. Just going to show you the interior here, because this is the complicated part. On top of that, you want to take the ring that you should have finished making the stone bricks and just add a ring of diorite straight on top of it. Pretty simple, quick phase there. You want to continue extending up your column drums, and on the inside here, you want to add another layer of stone bricks, but on top of that, you want to then leave an air gap and start setting it back and have it just be some cobblestone here. And with that done, we will move on, extending up the column drums again, and extending up now 2 layers of stone bricks on top of that, following the cobblestone ring that we just laid out. Very simple. Moving on again, more column drums, more wall extension, except remember to do the interior banding of having the cobblestone band every 2 blocks of stone bricks. I do that on the interior and the exterior, as you see done here. extending up the column drums and the walls. And now over here for this phase, we are now putting on the columns of the capitals, just like we did for the section down there. The columns are the exact same design. So go around and put upside down stone stairs, as you see done here, and continue extending up the walls, again, as you see done there. And moving along again, you want to extend up the capitals, like you see done here. Do this on the tops of all the columns, except for the ones attached to the wall. Remember, you only want to do that for the 3 faces that are visible. And the interior here is the exact same. It's going to be like this on the interior here for a while. We're just going straight up in a cylindrical manner here. Over here, we're putting the Corinthian capitals on the top of our columns, like so. Do this on all of your columns, and they should meet in the middle here for these side pilasters. And continuing up the walls in the middle there and on the sides. And over here, we have now gotten to the point where we have finished our Corinthian capitals, which means, if you remember, that we are now ready to add the entablature. And we're doing the same design with the cobblestone stairs and the stone stairs on top of that. Except there is now a difference. And the difference from below is that you're not making a square out of this, you're making a cross shape. Which means that when your entablature gets to this point, over this column here, you want to bend it and have it go over this way. And for this, you want to have, how many blocks is that? And that's 4 blocks that way and 4 blocks that way, so you can measure it. And you want to make sure you get that correct. And of course, you're doing it on all 4 corners. Because once we finish the entablature here, we're going to be putting our pitched roof on top of it, as you can see over there. And on the inside, just continue extending up your walls here. And on the underside of this, you want to start adding in these little sections here. It'll be very obvious where to put these. Just add these sort of little boxes of diorite in between where the columns and the entablature start overshadowing the rest of the structure here. And moving along again, you just take the entablature, the lower layer that you built over here, and add the band of white diorite all the way around it, or whatever material you end up using for your columns. Just use the same material for the band. And no changes on the inside along here. Again, we're to the point where we're putting in the top of the entablature. We're doing the dentils and the chiseled stone bricks, and a ledge of stone brick stairs on top of that, except on the sides here, we're bending it in and then bending it back out and then continuing it straight. So once you've got that done here, we're extending the walls up again. Your roof should now be completely covered. On the inside here, we can take a look at that. There's also some glowstone back here that I've hidden behind these columns here to give the entire structure a little bit of light. That's one thing I like to do. If you're building this in survival, of course, you're going to want to light up your structure as much as you reasonably can. Now, over here, we're starting the point where we put in the triangular roof, so it's going to get a little complicated here for a little bit. On the sides along here, we want to start adding a band of stone brick stairs, and on the inside here, we want to add a fairly random assemblage of both blocks and stairs and slabs. It doesn't really matter if you follow the pattern that I've done. You can just make them random. That's pretty much what I did when I built it. But you want to start having your slabs come in along here. And your full blocks over there. And you want to do those on all the sides along here. And then there's some little details along over here. And for this reference model, you don't need to use the wood here. That was something I had left over from a previous structure that I built, so this stuff in here, you can forget about that. Just focus on the exterior, because I assume you're leaving it probably mostly hollow. Is the inside there. And over here. We now want to go along over here and take a look at the corners, because we're adding some more decorative finials on the side here. These things are going to be just like the ones we built down here, except they're a little higher up, and they're perched on the edges of the roof over here. So build them like you see, and don't build this as cobblestone. Build that as stone bricks whenever you see that. This was a mistake that I made when I was doing this reference model that I didn't catch. So whenever you see that, make sure that you ignore that and you're doing it all as stone bricks on these sections here. And to get this right, you can go ahead and build stone bricks like this, but underneath here, you're going to be putting slabs like so. You're going to be putting slabs there and there. And I think on top of here as well. That's the pattern that this particular pitch of roof follows. It's like a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1. And here is my design for the sculptural work done here. And behind it, I have just put a layer of red nether bricks just behind that. And on the sides here, we want to start putting in what is going to be forming part of the roof section here. And the best way I can explain this to you is to just let you look at it. Red nether bricks that you can see are all whole blocks, and the black slabs here are nether brick half slabs. So I'll go down here and show this to you in profile. And just build it according to the pattern that you see. It's not super important that you get it exactly right. Just fill it in as best you can. And of course, you're doing that on all 4 sides. And in the middle here, we now have something a little bit different. You want to overhang a ledge of stone bricks as you see done here. And with that completed, we're now ready to move on a little bit more. We're getting to the point where we're almost ready to start constructing the dome over here, after we finish the base and the pediments over here. So remember this cobblestone stuff here. You want to make these stone bricks and build the sculptural work according to this pattern here. Remember, it's not too important if you want to have different sculptural work or different details. Just change the blocks to whatever you think looks best. And we want to continue the finials here again. And the roof sections on the side along here. And we're now getting to the point where we should start be putting in the circular section here, which is going to be the base for the dome. I'll give you a good look at this so you can get a good overview of this. And on the interior down here, on top of the stone brick ledge, just put a ring of diorite. Very simple to do in there. The next phase gets somewhat more complicated. because we're now finishing our roofs over here. And they should be finished and meet up like so. And on the tops over here, these things, this is going to be another one of these little decorative finials here on the side. It's just on the top of the pinnacle over here. And I'll give you a good look at the roof integration along here. And once that is done, we now want to start adding in some side details here of cobblestone stairs. We're also laying out the column bases again. It's going to be the last set of columns on the building. I think this now begins the third phase of the structure. And on the interior here, you're just putting in another ring of stone bricks on top of the white ring of diorite. I think this is actually represents the floor of this as well. So we will now move on to the next section. We're putting in a little bit more gold ore along here on top of the finales. We're finishing off another layer of the decoration around the bottom of the ring of columns around here. It's just cobblestone stairs stacked on top of each other. And we're putting in our column bases, as is shown here. Our standard column base. So I'll move on again because it is a standard column base. So we're doing the cobblestone stairs and we're beginning to put in the diorite column drums. And from here I can save a little bit of time on the next couple of phases because we're going up 2 blocks from there with the column drums, another 2 blocks over here, 2 more blocks, another 2, another 2 here, 2 more blocks, and over here we get to the point where we start putting on our Corinthian capitals on top of the columns. And for reference, these columns from here to here should all be 12 blocks tall. That's a general height I use for columns. Sometimes I will extend them up to 15 blocks, but I believe in this instance I have kept them as 12 blocks. So you should know the drill by now. From here, you just want to add the rest of the Corinthian capitals, as is shown here. And over here, exactly the same as you did for those capitals of the columns down there. However, on top of that over here, we want to start adding in what is going to be the ring that the dome sits on, which, as you can see, it is another entablature, except this time it is a circular entablature, which doing one of these is quite complicated. So I'm going to give you a good overview of it here. I would recommend to do this, you build the internal ring of cobblestone first on top of the columns here. Remember, if you need, you can use your center lines for the building as a guide to create this here. And I should probably measure this out for you. From the center over here, you want to build 3 and 3, then 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 3 and 3 again. Or 4, including the center line. And from that, you want to extend it out 3 blocks on pretty much all sides, except along here. I'll trace this out for you. And build it out according to that pattern there. And on the front of it, you're going to want to start putting in the stairs for the bottom of the entablature. And you should be able to follow the ring that you laid out to make that part simpler. And on top of that, it is another easy part. You just want to go along the edges here and add a 2-block tall ring of diorite on the outside and the inside as well here. And on top of that, you want to add a ring of chiseled stone bricks, and every other block you want to add the dentils. And on top of that, you just want to add a ring of stone bricks. And just a plain ring of cobblestone on the inside. Once that is done, we now want to start capping off the top of the entablature. You want to add a little ring of bedrock or basalt along here. And then on top of that, you want to intersperse those with right side up cobblestone stairs. They're mirroring the dentils down here. As you can see done there, that will serve as a guide to help you construct those. And we of course have our stone brick stairs in between all of those, and behind those you just want more cobblestone pretty much. No, actually we're having a cobblestone and then a ring of stone bricks on top of that. And at this phase we are now ready to construct one of the most complicated phases of this construction, which is going to be the dome. Now I'm going to try to go rather slow on this because as we are doing a spherical thing in Minecraft, or a hemispherical thing in Minecraft, it's going to be rather complicated, but on the sides here you can use your center lines as guides to help you with these things. So we want to build a little bit of stone bricks here. And then behind that you want to pretty much put a ring of nether brick, or whichever black block you choose to use, and do it according to the pattern that you see. We're also putting a little ledge of stone brick slabs around this, by the way, here. And in the middle of those, you want to put your stone bricks along here and little details of cobble as you see done here. And you want to go around on all four sides and do the same pattern. And on the interior here, you want to start building up the interior of the dome. And now you see why I had you collect all the gold blocks, because they are decoration for the top of our dome. So if we go along here, we start using our quartz blocks. They're sort of internal ribbing for the dome. You'll see what they do as we go along, and just build it up according to what you see here. It's mostly a ring of gold, except for these little details along here. I'll give you a top-down view of this, so you can make sure you've got it all correct. So take extra time on that phase, and we will move on to the next one over here. I think we're mostly extending most things up except for little details here. We've now transitioned into using the red nether brick along here. And just build it out according to the pattern that you see with the cobble and the stone stairs. Go along the outside here. Give you a good view of this from several angles. Just pause the video if you need to see it a little bit more clearer. And we'll take a look on the inside here. And we're extending inwards. The dome is starting to curve inwards here. And build it according to this pattern with the quartz ribbing extending out a little bit further than the gold does. And a view from the top here. All right, moving on again. Extending our dome up and inwards. We're stepping in the ribbing on the exterior of the dome here just a little bit. And on the sides here, as well as with the cobble and the red nether bricks here. And on the inside over here, It's getting really complicated, but just pause the video and replicate the next 2 block section that you see done here. All right, and with that, we now start to enter the home stretch over here, where we're extending our dome up another 2 blocks. We're extending it upwards and inwards. Along here, we'll do the exterior first, like you see here, and the interior along here. And as we go up, you may have guessed that the quartz ribbing we have on the interior of the dome are going to meet in the middle and give us a very pleasing effect. Let's go down here and give you a view of this from the inside. And a view up here from the top. Okay, over here we're entering the last couple of phases with our dome. We're stepping it inwards rather aggressively now. Just do your best to build it according to the pattern that you see. And the interior here. Our quartz ribs are getting to the point where they're almost touching each other. View from below. And a view from the top. All right, going on over here, we are actually getting to the point where we have capped off our dome. On the inside anyway, but we'll start on the outside here. We're now transitioning back to using the nether brick or the black stone, whichever material you choose to use for that. Going along the outside here, you can see that our exterior ribbing is all heading to a point where they are going to meet. And on the inside here, we now get to a point where we see that all our quartz ribbing has collided with each other. And you want to build it out like this and put a little bit of a cross of glowstone here in the middle to light up the top of the dome, and it will be very pleasing when you look at it from the ground, like so. However, if you don't want to use gold for this, you can use some other material. One of my favorites is lapis, but that may even be more expensive than the gold. So I will, of course, leave final materials choice up to you. Now we'll focus pretty much on the exterior from here on out. We're pretty much capping off our dome in this section here. Show it to you from the top along here, as well as the side along here. Most of the hard work on the dome is now complete. And we're going along over here, and this phase is just a 2-block square with these little corners cut out. And this is going to be the it's sort of a miniature entablature. It's not a detailed one, it's just sort of a miniature entablature that sits on the top of our dome to serve as a buffer for this section over here, which is going to start the construction of the final phase of the monument, which is going to be the little detail that is on top of the dome, which is called a cupola. So we want to build it according to this pattern here. We have some little decorative finials stuck in these little niches here. We have some simplified columns. They're only not quite as detailed as the previous ones because we're running out of blocks up here pretty much. So things have to be more simplified. And moving along, you just want to extend those columns up pretty much for the next couple of phases, except on the sides here. We now see the use for the cobblestone walls that I had you collect, because they're going to serve as fine details on the top of our cupola up here. Now we're just stacking stone brick stairs on top of each other. Do that on all four sides. And just for some lighting or whatever, I've added some torches up here. You don't have to have these if you don't want them. We're having some chiseled stone bricks on the insides here. Some gold ore for details along here. And we're capping off our columns with just a ledge of stone bricks along here. Another stone cobble wall on top of that. And over here, we're adding more walls and upside down stairs, like you see done here. And I also have some hidden lighting back here as well, but you don't have to have these in here if you don't want them. So that will cut down on the glowstone a little bit. And over here, we're starting in adding the little dome. It's going to be sitting on top of our cupola. So we have a little bit more gold along here, and some gold ore, some cobblestone slabs, done like this pattern here. And over here, we extend it up and do our best to curve it in a little. The gold part represents the dome, and the stone bricks represent the ribbing on the smaller dome. And we've got some more details on the here of gold ore and cobblestone walls. A couple of slabs. And moving along over here, we get to the point where I believe we have now capped off our little dome over here. And we're putting a pinnacle on top of our cupola. And you can leave these torches off if you don't want them. I just put them up there for lighting purposes. So we want to start building the foundation for our pinnacle, according to this pattern here. Very simple. And on top of that, we're just adding a base for a decorative finial, which is going to be the very last thing we add to our structure here. On top of that, we add some cobblestone walls. Another block of cobblestone and another cobblestone wall. And the very last thing is one last cobblestone wall, which, when placed, will make your Roman monument fully complete, as you see here. So this completes the Roman monument tutorial. I hope you had fun constructing it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And in the future, I'll be producing more Roman tutorials of various buildings of various sizes. So if you want to start with this building and add more and build your own Roman-style city, then you will probably want to subscribe because you won't be disappointed. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.